Hi, I'm John F. Allen. And I'm R.J. Sullivan. And we're the Two Towers.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Two Towers Talk Show recap and review for DC's Legends of Tomorrow. I'm your host, Tower 1, John F. Allen, one half of the Two Towers. Today we'll be recapping and reviewing DC's Legends of Tomorrow Season 1, Episode 7, entitled Marooned. There will be details of the episode discussed here which are spoilers. So, if you haven't yet seen the episode, please go watch it and then come back to view this show. Alright, on to the episode recap. With no trace of Vandal Savage, Rip gets caught up in memories of his deceased family. Heatwave grows even more rogue, simply wanting to abandon the mission and return home. The team intercepts a distress call from another Time Master, and Rip decides to answer, thinking he may gain new information on Savage's whereabouts. Upon arrival, an away team consisting of Rip, Heatwave, Jax, and Professor Stein board the vessel and discover the ship's been overtaken by space pirates in search of something Rip refuses to relinquish. Now the remainder of the team, Adam, Hawkgirl, White Canary, and Captain Cold, must use their wits and ingenuity to outwit the pirates who have taken their teammates hostage. Tower Talking Points. Talking point number 1, the Vanishing Point. In the comics, this is the alternate dimensional point in the time-space continuum which the Linear Men, a team in which Rip Hunter belonged to, used as their headquarters. The team's mission was to protect and police the time stream. In the show, it's been retconned to be the base of operations for the Time Masters. We see the Vanishing Point in flashbacks which explain how Rip met and fell in love with his late wife Miranda. It also shows us that when Rip stole the Waverider and assembled the Legends, it wasn't the first time he'd ran afoul with the Time Masters. Tower Talking Point number 2, the Adam and Hawkgirl kiss. The sexual tension was alluded to in the past couple of episodes, so this shouldn't have been a huge surprise to anyone who's been watching the show. It's only going to play into Hawkman's return, in my opinion. It's confirmed that he will return before the end of the season, and what better way to create tension than with a love triangle? Only this time, I wonder if Hawkman will be the one who doesn't remember and has to remember who and what he is. I've got the feeling that Ray Palmer, also known as the Atom, is in for a Cisco Ramon outcome. Tower Talking Point number 3. Heatwave goes completely rogue. This has been building for quite some time, and it was in this episode that we saw it finally come to a head. Roy turned on his teammates in hope of helping the pirates commandeer the Waverider and turn him to 2016. At first, I thought he was falling in line with the pirates as a ruse, but as the episode progressed, it became clear that his intentions were true to form, hence his attempt to kill White Canary. Tower Talking Point number 4, Space Legends. Now, I know that Tower 1 wasn't really keen on the team going on a space adventure, but I, for one, loved it. I think there should be more adventures in space as the show progresses, in fact. Given that the core premise of the show is a team of heroes and villains who form a group who travel through time to stop an immortal megalomaniac from conquering the world, having the occasional space adventure is a surefire way to liven things up. It also gives the show the opportunity to explore the Space Age characters from the DC archives, such as Space Ranger. I'll talk more about that in the Easter egg segment. Captain Comet, Adam Strange, Challengers of the Unknown, Linear Man, which we talked about earlier. Tower Talking Point number 5. Captain Cold kills Heatwave. Given the relationship between these two characters, it's hard to believe that it will come to this. However, with Heatwave getting more and more unstable with each episode, there seemed to be only one clear choice on what to do. Captain Cold volunteers to take down his best friend / partner in crime, which ends in a dubious scene where he fires his cold gun at Heatwave, and we don't really see what happens afterwards. Did he really kill Heatwave, or did he somehow just immobilize him? We don't know exactly where this happened either, so We don't know. Did Cole really kill his bestie? Will Heatwave come back? I mean, given it's a show that deals with time travel, I suppose only time will tell. But psh. And now we've reached the segment of the show called Pros and Cons. This is where I give you my opinions on the pros and cons of the episode. Starting with the pros. I really like that the setting of this episode took place in space. Again, it's something different here. And it being something opposed to taking place in a different time on Earth or an alternate reality on Earth. Now, this sort of thing is what keeps me coming back week after week with this show. And as I mentioned before, the way in which the team came together without their most powerful member, aka Firestorm, and used their wits and ingenuity to defeat the enemies and escape death was very entertaining to me. Cons. I really don't have much in the way of cons with this episode. I felt as though the flashback scenes with Rip and Miranda seemed a bit forced. I think that more of these throughout the earlier episodes would have better set things up and made it feel a little bit more natural. It just seems like we just saw Miranda and Rip's son get killed in the pilot episode, and then we know he's grieving them, and he's wanting vengeance against Vandal for killing them. But then it's like all of a sudden we see him reminiscing, and then we get the flashbacks. I think flashbacks should have started earlier in the episodes, in the show's run, to kind of give us a little bit more grounding for this, and it doesn't seem like it's just kind of dumped into this episode like it was. But otherwise, that's about it as far as cons are concerned. On to the Easter eggs. Easter egg number 1, Eve Baxter. Now, this was the character that was the Time Master who was kidnapped and whose beacon caught Rip's attention. She's likely patterned after a comic book character named Bonnie Baxter, who appeared in the old Time Master's comic book adventures and debuted in Showcase number 20 back in 1959. Easter egg number 2, Space Ranger. This character harkens back to the comics of the 1950s, debuting in Showcase Comics number 15 in 1958. He and Eve Baxter, or Bonnie Baxter as she was known in the comics, came out around the same time, so this episode makes plenty of references to 1950s DC comic characters, specifically those involving like the space age. Another interesting note is that Isaac Asimov created a character known as David Starr, Space Ranger, back in 1952, and it's believed that this was the character that DC's version was patterned after. A little interesting tidbit of information there. Easter egg number 3, Star Trek. There were a lot of Star Trek shoutouts in this episode. For instance, when Ray Palmer, a big science fiction nerd, is left in charge of the Waverider when Rip goes off with the away team to the abandoned ship, he talks to Gideon and mentions the captain's log and compares himself to Kirk. Well, Hawkgirl proceeds to tell him that he's more like Picard than anyone, and then Ray exclaims he's more like Han Solo, and then as he's helming the ship, switches to Sulu. Now, I chuckled at that, and I immediately thought of Fanboys. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that movie, but I liked it. So if you haven't seen that film, go watch it. It is hilarious, and it's very heartwarming. I can't say anything else, but just go see the movie, okay? Easter egg number 4, John Valor, Space Pirate, aka John, Jon Valor, the Black Pirate. Okay, the leader of the Space Pirates was named John, John Valor, which is a variation of the spelling of Jon Valor, who was a DC Comics character from the past. This is a wink and nod to that character, who is also known as the Black Pirate. He first appeared in Action Comics 23 back in 1940. That particular version of John Valor or Valor was 16th century privateer on a work commission from the King of England with a strong moral code of justice. he would fight against tyranny as the masked adventurer known as the Black Pirate. The version of Valor in this episode is very different from the comic book iteration, most especially his moral code and sense of justice, which he did not have. So they kind of did a wink and nod to the original character, but as this particular iteration goes, he was like the antithesis of the comics character. Alright, so we've reached final thoughts. All in all, I thought this was a fun and solid episode. I like the way the team was taken out of their element, but still managed to use their wits to survive and come out on top. I also like that because of the circumstances of Jax and Stein being separated, the most powerful member of the team was not an option for most of the episode, and the other non-powered or lesser-powered members had to use whatever means they had at their disposal to survive. Personally, I give this episode 4 out of 5 towers. In related news, we'll be airing recap review shows for Supergirl, The Flash, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Arrow, and DC's Legends of Tomorrow weekly. Be sure to subscribe to our channel to get them all. I hope to air the shows the day following the air dates for each episode. However, not all the time is this possible, so I will try to get the shows uploaded to YouTube by the end of the week or before the beginning of the following week. So just bear with me on that. Well, I would like to thank you all for tuning in. And until next time, Hewa. The Two Towers Talk Show is sponsored in part by Showtime Cinema in Mooresville, Indiana. Their friendly staff is always willing to go the extra mile to make your movie-going experience an enjoyable and memorable one. Enjoy the comfort of their new cushioned seating in their spacious auditoriums. And while you're there, be sure to stop by the concession stand and purchase some popcorn where real butter topping is an option. They're located at 300 South Bridge Street in Mooresville, Indiana. We hope to see you at the movies. Be sure to check out our advertising partner, DC and Marvel, a universal alliance. They are a friendly Facebook community who offer digital comic book giveaways, games, tournaments, and viewing parties. Follow the link below and give them a look. You'll be glad you did.